What is up, guys and gals? My name is Splattercat, and we are here at the Nerd Castle with the next episode of Shadowrun Dragonfall. In the previous episode, we had messed up a little bit with Dietrich, and by we, I mean me. As always, it looks like we got a motorcycle out in front of our place, but we never use it. That's pretty lame. I want to use that motorcycle right there. It looks like the motorcycle from Tron. It feels like it would make interesting noises. But anyways, we're going to go rob, I think Pharma AG was who we were after now. We're going to go get like a Mark 16 prototype or something of that nature, because I feel like... well, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now, because if we go meet with the lady over at the Turkish coffee house or whatever, it may actually end the game, because we've got enough money right now to where if we do that quest, it's going to go and give all the money to Alice, and obviously it's not going to end the game, but I mean, it might end our little free-to-play period. And so, given how the game has played out in the past and how this game has been playing out, it makes me nervous. I don't want this free-to-play area to end. Like, I like being able to choose what I want to do. So anyways, let's go do the Pharma AG run, and if it backfires on us, then whatever, we'll figure it out. It's never stopped us before, so we'll be able to sort it out no matter what happens. Oh, we should meet with Frau. It's forcing us. Okay, I don't really like that, but alright, whatever. Sometimes you can't control the way things go. Sometimes the dungeon master's like, look, bitch, you're going over here and that's what's gonna happen. I've done it to my players before. It's one of those it's one of those plot devices that is just like, listen, pal, I'm not giving you the freedom to go do anything else right now. I will spawn a dragon right down the seat if I was gonna say, I will spawn a dragon right down the street if I have to. I will put it right there on the corner to keep you from going anywhere else other than doing this quest. So go do it. And then your players look at you grumpily, and then it happens. So, Frau Müller, what can I do for you? As you press your way forward through the cozy, smoke-filled confines of Café Jesvi, you catch sight of Frau Müller. She appears as Amsel described her, an impressive-looking woman of Astlaner descent, with coffee-colored skin and dark, wavy hair. Everything about her screams corporate executive, from her expensive-looking suit to her tastefully understated makeup. She's obviously nervous, but she's hiding it well. She locks eyes with you and hesitates only slightly before speaking. Three-toe, I presume? Herr Amsel told me that I could meet you here. He wasn't lying. He said that you had a job for me. She holds her silence for a moment, then nods. Yes, I do. In truth, I'm in desperate need of your help. Well, then tell me what you need, Frau Müller. She offers you a small smile. An assumed name, obviously, but I've been told that this is how you people do business. She straightens in her seat and tries on a smile. It hangs there for a second, then fades away. She sighs. From my accent, you've no doubt inferred that I'm an Astlaner. Further, you may have guessed who I work for. Etiquette corporate? Okay, as technology, I'd assume. She nods. I've been with the company for over a decade. In that time, I've worked on all manner of projects. From the innocuous to the obscene, my hands have touched it all. Never once did I question the wisdom of our research. Never once did I consider blowing the whistle on my employers. I kept my nose down, I worked hard, and I excelled at all of the tasks set before me. They must love you there. No more than any other employee, but my commitment and work ethic were recognized, and I ascended the corporate ladder fairly quickly, which brings me to where I am today. Last month, I was transferred from my home in Tenachtaland. They told me that an employee of my caliber was needed in Berlin and that I would be working on a project with wide-reaching applications. The only other detail that I was given was the name of the project, Bloodline. Uh-oh, they're going to be breeding vampires or something, and then we're going to have a new setting for a VTM tabletop game. It's going to be amazing. Catchy. She looks you in the eye, and for the first time you can see the cracks in her composure. She's doing a good job of hiding it, but deep down, this woman is terrified. I've seen many terrible things in my life, Three-Toe, and Tenachtaland blood magic is commonplace. Take a moment to imagine what that means. In the underground markets, people are bought and sold as chattel. Street children are rounded up and bled like lambs. I witnessed all of these things by the age of 12. She takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly. Seeing such things, it changes you. It makes you numb. But what I found when I arrived here was worse. This project, it horrifies me, Three-Toe, and it must be stopped. Tell me everything you know about Bloodline. She shakes her head. The less you know, the better for both of us. You'll just have to trust me on that. You need to only know that it is evil, and that it is not a word that I use lightly. Well, we can say that there's no such thing as black and white. We can say that you have to understand we can't accept a job without knowing what it entails. We can just be like, alright, and take it at face value and go for that, but I'm not going to do that one. We've got, if you won't tell me what Bloodline is, I'm going to go with black and white. So evil's a childish term, Frau Müller. There's no such thing as good and evil, black and white. The sooner you learn that, the better. If you had seen the things that I've seen, you'd understand how foolish you sound. Of course, there is evil in this world, Three-Toe. I'm not talking about the petty viciousness of the human race. I'm talking about true, supernatural evil. It came back with the awakening, and denying its existence won't protect you from it. Well, you have to understand, Frau Müller, I won't accept a job without knowing what it entails. Oh, of course not. Your job will be relatively simple. I want you to bring the building down. The computers, the research data, the mages and scientists that are working about this abomination, I want them all burned to ash and buried in the rubble. with no compromises and no exceptions. Her tone softens. I'm sure that you have unanswered questions. I'm not in the habit of dealing with Shadowrunners. In truth, I've spent the majority of my career living in fear of you people, but I do know that you're the only ones that can get this done. So tell me, Three Toe, is there anything more that you need to hear from me, or are you ready to make a decision? Well, what about innocent people in the building? None of us are innocent, Three Toe, but if you need to salve your conscience, rest assured that at the hour of your approach, the only personnel authorized to be on site will be security and senior members of the research team, and I assure you, neither are innocent in this matter. If the Bloodline project reaches completion, nobody will be safe ever again. This sounds like hyperbole, I know, but it isn't. The Bloodline project will lead to countless deaths. I'm certain enough of this to hire you, despite the fact that doing so will probably cost me my own life. Well, I'm not a demolitions expert, Frau Müller. How do you expect me to level a building? You don't need to be. All that you need is a competent decker. The facility is powered by a number of on-site generators. There are safeguards in place to prevent them from overloading. In the event of a power spike, the system is designed to shut itself down. But I know how you can disable those safeguards. Once the generator begins to overload, you'll have a limited time to reach a safe distance. The explosion will be quite catastrophic. Alright, well, what can you tell me about building security? Expect it to be tight. In addition to their standard security team, AS Technology has taken out a knight-errant high-threat response team contract to protect the building. Corporate doesn't seem to mind contracting a competitor for emergency response services. That should give you some indication as to the uniqueness of this project. At any rate, I believe that I've come up with a solution to the knight-errant problem. I'll discuss the matter with Herr Amsel if you decide to take the job. Alright, well, let's go ahead and let's pull the trigger on this. I'll take the job. Her face visibly brightens. In that case, it's a deal. I can't tell you how relieved I am, Three Toe. Thank you for helping me bring this nightmare to an end. I'll iron out the remaining details with your Herr Amsel. He'll want to talk this over with you anyways, I'm sure. You're a good man, Three Toe, and you're saving more lives than you know. Yeah, well, being a Shadowrunner, I kind of know how these things tend to play out. So I guess there's two options right here. Either she's playing us or she's not playing us. And that's really where you want to start whenever you're talking about Shadowrunners. Is either you are getting played. I mean, you're always being used. As a Shadowrunner, you have to come to realize that you are always a tool in a greater game. But are you being, like, you're being used already, but are you being used and then used on top of being used, if you catch my meaning? Like, are you being misdirected while at the same time being used? Because you come into the contract already knowing that, you're just kind of a finger in this overall plan. But she could be the one that maybe she's taken some of that magic away with her and she's hid it now and she wants to monopolize it, so now she's blowing up her competitor so that she can use the magic. You know, you never quite know with Shadowrun who's going to betray you, because really the most benign sources can turn out to be malignant. Every single time I play Shadowrun, that's really like the #1 twist that they like to play on you, is that like the most innocent individual always turns out being the most guilty. Let's talk to Amsel and see what's going on here. Welcome back, Three Toe. How did the meeting with Frau Müller go? I accepted the job. Any ideas on how we want to tackle this? Yes, a few. Frau Müller has provided us with detailed information on the facility. I've vetted the information and it seems to hold up. Based on this intel, I've formulated what I think will be an effective strategy on bringing down the building. According to Müller's intel, the facility is extraordinarily well guarded. Whatever this Bloodline project is, the Azis have spared no expense to defend it. The facility is patrolled by AS Technology's internal security personnel. On their own, they would pose a challenge, but I don't doubt that you could brute force your way through them. Unfortunately, they will not be on their own. AS Technology has purchased one of Knight-Errant's most expensive security contracts as an additional line of defense. I fought Knight-Errant before. They don't scare me. You've never been up against one of their high-threat response teams, and be thankful for that, Three Toe. I pulled some strings with an old contact of mine, and he's provided me with the address of a small software developer, OTK International. They write the firmware updates for Knight-Errant's comm systems, and their defenses should be considerably weaker than AS Technology's. My contact has informed me that OTK stores an off-site hard copy of every firmware update that it develops for data security purposes. My suggestion would be this. You hit the offices of OTK International and reduce their computers to slag. In the interim, I'll have a hard copy of the next update replaced with a compromised version. When OTK's next update goes live, our compromised version will be pushed out to Knight-Errant. When you hit the AS Technology facility, I'll be able to track Knight-Errant via their comm links. This should make the run much more manageable. He fishes in his pocket for something. A moment later, he produces a corporate ID with your face on it. This will get you through the front door of the office park that contains OTK International. My contact was only able to provide me with one card, so you'll need to let the rest of your team in through a side door. Alright, it sounds like a plan. Very good. OTK's offices aren't very far from here. You should take the U-Bahn there when you're ready. Well, first we're gonna go hit this Mark 16 thing. And then didn't we also have like a video thing we were supposed to watch on the DVD rack? Let's take a look. Let's load the third DVD. Oh my god, there's like a million tracks. One more time. The display goes blank for a moment, then the face of Green Winters winks onto the screen. The timestamp on the video reads, let's see, July 5th, 2042. I was thinking about Adrian today. Not as he was when he disappeared, not as the fabled Dragon Slayer, you know, or like the big-time CEO of DL Defense. I was thinking about when we were kids. Well, I was always more of a kid than he was, of course. He's 15 years older than me. In a way, he was more like a parent than a brother. Winters pauses, his gaze drops to an invisible point on the table in front of him. So I was thinking about this time when we were on holiday. Our parents took us to the island of Poel to enjoy the beach. I must have been about 5 years old. Adrian was 20. It'd be his last family vacation with us. A year later, he'd begin his meteoric rise to fame and fortune. But on this trip, he was my brother. When I fell out of the little paddle boat that our parents rented and started sinking fast into the Baltic, he was the one who dove in to rescue me. You saved my life that day, Adrian. I'll love you forever for that. And I will find you. I owe you that much. Winters disappears and you find yourself back at the menu screen. The display goes blank and we find ourselves at June 6th of 2049. Found an old news article that mentions Adrian from way back in 2036. It was printed in a financial magazine called Das Finanzwesen, one of those chic print-based mags that they produced for the retro crowd. There aren't any clues in there, but it's good to see someone else acknowledge its existence. He clicks the off-screen button and the image of Winters disappears and is replaced by a digital scan of the magazine page. SK Stock suffers in post-buyout brain drain November 12, 2039. In the aftermath of the Dragon Loftware's hostile takeover of Sader Krupp, God, that is SKI, a continuing brain drain of high-level executives is causing ongoing worry among company stockholders. The company's stock took a major hit when Loftware deposed major CEO Wilhelmina Graf Benoit last August. 3 months later, long-held power positions within the SKI empire continue to empty as the Dragon consolidates his power base. The most recent casualties of Loftware's takeover include Alexandra Kobayashi, former COO of Sader Munitions, Matthaus Donner, former treasurer of Ruhr Datafax, and Werner Harding, former CEO of DL Defense. Harding stepped into the role to replace Dr. Adrian Vauclair, who disappeared under mysterious circumstances 2 years ago. Winter's face winks back onto the screen, so there you have it. That's what they had to say about Adrian a mere 2 years after his disappearance. My brother the footnote. While this track does load, it's clearly corrupted. The screen fills with meaningless streams of text. While this track does load, it's clearly corrupted. Okay, so 5's down, or 4's down. A rattling sound fills the air as the disc grinds in its tray. A few seconds later, the screen fills with text. Dr. Vauclair, it is my sad duty to inform you that, by unanimous vote of the Aufsichtsrat, your position as CEO of DL Defense will be terminated at the end of this calendar month. Your continued misallocation of company funds to pursue personal agendas cannot and will not be tolerated any longer. The supervisory board is not unsympathetic to your mental state. The trauma that you endured during your pursuit of the Dragon Firewing must have been enormous, but your continuing obsession with the dragon, the dead dragon that I might add, has proven a negative influence in this company and unjustified drain on company resources. The board wishes you all the best in your future endeavors. We have prepared a generous severance package to assist you in this time of transition. If there is anything more that we can do to help you, please don't hesitate to ask. Werner Harding. The disc spins down and we're back at the main menu. Well, let's kick it out and let's get on the way because we've got missions to handle. So I think we're a little bit low. Let me take a look at my stocks first and foremost because I'm not really sure what kind of gear we're packing at the moment. We could use a couple more medkits just in case we get any ouchie boo-boos so that we can kind of just pat them off carefully. Let's see here. Weapons. Let's go through the all. We've got a couple of advanced medkits. We've got some extra grenades to go through. Okay, so we've got enough stuff to where I'm feeling okay about the run. Let's be on our way, and we're going to go see if we can turn out this Mark 15 or Mark 16 or whatever the hell it was from that Pharmacorp. And then after that, we'll go ahead and handle Frau Müller's request, which sounds like it's going to be the mission to end all missions. In Shadowrun, you know that things just got real when you have to do a Shadowrun to prep for another Shadowrun. That's usually the point at which you can assume that everything is escalated on you like crazy, like a mallway staircase, just escalating. So now it's probably going to ask us where we want to go, hopefully. Let's go ahead and go to AG Chemie Europa to extract that Mark 16. And so for this run, part of me wants to play around with other ideas, but at the same time, I'm a little confused about maybe... I kind of want to bring Malner along, to be honest. I don't know if maybe... What are his skills looking like? Let's compare him to our dear friend. If we hire Alner, I'd like to see what his skills do to compare with Blitz. So Blitz is rocking a little bit of extra drone control, which is kind of an interesting thing. However, Alner appears to be better at Oh, no, they're about even. Okay, so it's actually probably a better idea just to bring Blitz along. So let's go ahead and grab our standard team and be on our way. I mean, as much as I like to try out some of the other guys, everything that I learned from the first Shadowrun game is that it was a terrible idea. Like, why would you? Most of the people you hire on tend to be really, really bad. Although I think in the first game, they leveled up based on how often you picked them, because I noticed that at the end of the game, some of the people hadn't upgraded at all, but the ones that I had been taking consistently had upgraded a lot, so I don't know. Anymore, I'm not really sure how the system works. I just kind of do whatever I find pleasurable, which seems to be a reasonably decent way to move your way through the game. Monolithic, plastic, and sterile, the Berlin office of AG Chemie Europa is all of these things and more. The worst qualities of modern corporate culture all mixed into a toxic stew and sluiced into a single prefab office building. Thankfully, you shouldn't have to stay long. According to the intel that your client provided, this should be a simple smash and grab operation, and you've been given the tools to carry it out with a minimum of fuss. The MK16 prototype, whatever it is waiting for you on the 25th floor. It's time to go and get it. I bet it's going to be a person. Bet you anything it's going to be a person. It's just going to be somebody kitted out with cyberware. If I had to take a guess at what the plot twist is going to be. Looks like everybody else is geared up. She still hasn't upgraded her gun, nor has he, which is concerning. He doesn't have any throwing skill, otherwise I'd give him a couple grenades. It never hurts to give her some grenades, though, so let's give her a frag. And we'll just try to remember to use it, basically. I really want to avoid my guy getting slagged, because he's the only person with res kits, I think. Ooh, she's rocking one of the really good. She upgraded a little bit. Well then. Hand raisers as they used to exist, in case you guys were wondering, is there used to be 2 modifications. In this one, we've only seen the 1. I bet they probably have them over at the... Oh, I don't know what it was. It was a... I don't know. The chop shop, anyways. The place where you get cyberware installed. I'm having a brain fart right now on the different corporations that run all the different chop shops. But anyways... Over at the hospital, let's have a look around here and make sure that everything's safe. I don't know what that is, but it wants me to go over and click it, so I'll do it in just a moment after we investigate everything else. Looks like we've got a first aid kit over here that I am going to grab. Send it to the stash for later missions. These crates have been sealed. The only visible markings are Project Atlas. Alright. Well, anyways, hand razors, there used to be 2 different versions. So there was like hand razors, and then there was like razor claws or something like that it was called. The hand razors, your fingernails were replaced, and your fingernails would slide off to the side, and razors would come out from underneath your fingernails so that you would like slap people to death. Or slap people, I don't know what slap people to death is. Slap people to death. I must have said dearth, I guess. I was talking in banished terms. But anyways, then the other one was like Wolverine claws that came out of the back of your hands that were awesome. After a few moments of sifting through the cables, you find a diagnostic connector with the right input to fit the little black box that Herr Schmidt gave you. Plug it in. The connector slips into the box with a satisfying click. A tiny red light set into the box's lid begins flashing. After a few seconds, it turns solid yellow and then finally shifts to green. At that instant, all of the lights in the garage turn off. A few seconds later, emergency lighting kicks in. If what Herr Schmidt told you was true, you've just killed the main power for most of the building. In theory, the box has also circumvented the security cameras on the building's upper floors. You should be able to intercept the camera feeds by tapping into an elevator console on the 24th floor. Handy little thing. Alright, team, let's go. Hopefully they give us a bunch of floors to explore here. Looks like our elevator is down here. However, nothing goes easily. Don't expect a milk run ever in Shadowrun, because it never turns out that way. Without warning, your comlink screen bursts into static. You hear a telltale series of clicks. Someone has established an audio connection to your comlink. A moment later, a deep sonorous voice speaks into your ear. You recognize it instantly. Your lodge contact, Luca Dwyer. Thrito, do not speak. Just listen. I have a proposition for you. I understand that your team is currently en route to retrieve a package, the Mark 16 prototype, if I'm not mistaken. My associates and I are interested in acquiring the Mark 16 for our own studies. We'd like you to deliver it to us. Once you've acquired the Mark 16, you'll proceed back to the garage as planned. There, you'll find a transport parked beside your client's van. Load the Mark 16 into the transport, and you will be rewarded. Herr Schmidt will also be dealt with to protect you from reprisal. To accept our offer, simply proceed as instructed and return the prototype to us. Please note that we need the Mark 16 in undamaged condition. If it's not in full working order, it is useless to us. I'm sure you're aware the Lodge takes good care of its friends. Trust me, Thrito, it would be to your advantage to help us. The line goes dead with a click. A moment later, the sounds of your teammates' comm chatter return. They're apparently unaware of the message you just received. Alright guys, listen up. I just got a comm from Luca Dwyer. The Lodge wants the Mark 16s for themselves. I don't know about that. Betraying a client is bad business, and right now we need all the business we can get. Yeah, but disappointing the Lodge isn't a great move either. They have pull, 3-2. A lot of pull. Well, we'll worry about it for later. I'm gonna make my decision in a bit, so we'll worry about it later. For now, let's just get on with the run. He nods. Probably the best call. Let's just get this over with. I don't know who the Lodge is. I'm only familiar with Shadowrunning in Seattle and San Francisco, so I'm not really optimally challenged to be in Berlin. So, I mean, in any case, the Lodge does seem like the kind of anybody that can just grease what his Eiger indicates a console built into the wall beside the elevator. That looks like the elevator console. The camera feeds should have been routed here. It only takes a moment to connect your PDA, and immediately visual feeds from all over the building begin to flood in. Yeah, definitely a handy little toy. Now I really want one. So we've got all the security cameras. They're on our side as denoted in green, so we can take a look throughout the building and figure out where the challenges are going to be at, and also where the loot's at in case we wanted to pull a Biggie Smalls and say, give me the loot. But anyways, we've got quite a bit of locations. We got a lot of areas to canvas, and since this one seems to be the area with all the loot, let's go this way. This might be the lab in and of itself where it's all at. God, there's stuff like everywhere. Well, let's fiddle for a bit because that definitely looks like an R&D lab. So I think what I want to do is kind of hit all of the ancillary, all the extra vestigial stuff first. And then once we hit that, what does this sign say? Data storage and records. Yeah, that definitely seems to be where I want to be. There's always money to be made in data theft in Shadowrun. Welcome to AGC Data Library Archive, an employee record system. Enter search terms to begin. An empty entry field awaits your, I don't know. Let's go see if they got anything on Schmidt. I don't even know what I should be searching for right here. I guess we could go Mark 16. Okay, so Mark didn't bring anything back. I guess we'll step away for now until we find other indicators as to what we might want to search for. Nothing backing in our blind spot, which is good because I hate it when there's things hiding in my blind spot. Also, I hate it when people drive at my blind spot. It's like, stop that right now. I need to merge and you are in my way. Offensive driving, go! Building maintenance, we might be able to find something useful in here. Got ourselves a med kit, okay. It's a light med kit, it's not one of the good ones, but it's still better than nothing. We'd have to spend money on it otherwise. You can summon a spirit from over there, which leads me to believe I may come under attack after being inside this office. So, we're gonna take it slow and see what happens. On the bar are a number of bottles of alcohol, most of them look expensive. We have socialite, yeah, examine the bottles. Upon closer examination, you can see that the bottles on the top of the bar aren't terribly exciting. Good booze certainly, but nothing to write home about. Tucked away under the bar, however, you find an unopened bottle of Islay Scotch. The handwritten label announces it as the first bottle from a batch distilled nearly 50 years ago, aged in a cask that once held Amontillado. To the right buyer, this could be worth some serious money. Well, it looks like we made ourselves a little bit of scratch then. At first glance, this terminal appears unremarkable. It's password locked and a cheerful screensaver marches across its display. Upon closer inspection, you notice something. Interspersed among the colorful bouncing sprites of the screensaver, there's a symbol that you recognize, the dead drop marker of the Shock Wellenreiter. As you study the display, a green light winks on above the terminal's display. The recording light of a pinhole camera. The screensaver disappears and the screen floods with green glowing text. Shock Wellenreiter contributor number 1432 recognized. Welcome, 3-2. This is an open request for information about the projects and material prototypes being developed at this facility. It is known that a synthetic drug is being developed here up in the support of a project called Atlas. In addition, a functional prototype called Mark 16 has been developed. We require all of the project data that can be obtained for this project. Of particular interest are the chemical formulae for this new drug and any visual records of the MK16, or I'm sorry, the MK6. I've been saying 16 the whole time, but there's no X in there. That's Mark 6. God, I can't believe I didn't notice that the entire time. In operation. See, that's the weird thing about, like, dyslexia. It makes you see what your brain wants you to see. AG Chemie Europa is known to be a heartless corporation with little regard for metahuman safety or morality. They guard their secrets jealously and seek to hoard all information gained for themselves. This behavior cannot be allowed to go unpunished. What they know, all shall know. No longer will they hide their secrets in the shadows. The timely delivery of this information will be well rewarded. Freedom, equality, and information. Shock Wellenreiter. Okay, well, let me see if there's anything else I can do with this. We grab a bottle for the road. Cheap booze. Why not? You never know when it's going to be useful. Down the line, we may be having to throw some alcohol at somebody. I have no idea. What else is going on here? So we've got that over there. We got a bunch of security in that room, so we definitely don't want to walk blind into there. Some major corp sec rocking around. Senior Executive Leonard Strongberg, Secretary Anika Schroeder. This door is closed and locked. Off to one side sits a numeric keypad. Let's examine the keypad in astral space. Your third eye slips open, revealing the hidden world of the astral plane. When my third eye slips open, that's the last thing that happens. Several of the buttons on the keypad glimmer faintly. 1, 3, 4, 5, 9. Each of these buttons has been pressed recently. The residue of life clings to them, shimmering against the gray. Unfortunately, you can't tell in what order. Oh, good. That's only 5 digits in an arrangement of... Oh, my God. Okay, so it's like 5 to the 5th combinations. That could be funsies. 1, 3, 4, 5, 9. Well, we'll go with the obvious first. Hey, you stop that. Yeah, that's going to be a rough one. I don't know if my mathematics are correct on that either. There's 5 guarantees and 5 slots. So yeah, 5 combinations for 5 locations. I think that should be 5 to the 5th. So that'd actually be pretty tough to crack. If you don't have... It's been a while since I've done any of my combinations or permutations classes, and to be honest, I didn't pay attention very well in those classes anyways. That was probably the worst math class, like the most difficult math class that I ever took, number theory. That was a bad class. That's all you did is like, if you have 13 balls in 3 different colors, and then they have like 4 different boxes that they can be thrown into at random, like what is the chance that the first drop will be an orange ball, the second will be a blue, and the fourth will be a brown, and the third could be whatever you want. And you're just like, oh my god. Like that problem right there, that was on my final, I remember it. It was nasty. It was real, real nasty. A warning light strobes out from the console as you approach. Large white letters shriek out against a red background. Warning, toxic contaminant detected. COCl2 phosgene gas. Hazardous material override engaged. Laboratory entrances locked down. Input command. I will purge the laboratory air. Warning, this action will result in the venting of contaminants to exterior atmosphere. Level 5 authorization required. Authorization accepted. Initiating purge of laboratory atmosphere. The distant whir of a powerful fan system fills the air. Papers and other loose objects within the lab begin to flutter and roll as powerful wind disturbs their rest. Atmosphere purged. No contaminants detected. Disengaging lockdown. So I guess we just vented that out into just like nature. Just like, nature, you're gonna have to take one for the team. We're trying to get paid here, I guess. Alright, well, I think I'm gonna break off the episode right here before anything kicks off too seriously. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me in the Nerd Castle for another episode of Shadowrun Dragonfall. I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Take care out there, everybody, as we search for the Mark 6, not the Mark 16, as I've been saying for like 5 episodes now. How embarrassing. See you guys next time. Bye.